What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is where we at now. So I took some time with doing this broadcast here about the whole Chicago sending in troops thing. You know, we saw Trump sending the troops and stuff like that for, DC, things like that. Shout out to that, real talk. Shout out to that. Yes. I think it's a good thing that, to try to clean up these cities. Most of our major American cities need a very big overhaul. So this is the deal here. Apparently, of course, we all know that the governor and the mayor of Chicago, stuff like that, the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago is doing their best to try not to work with cleaning up their cities. But at the end of the day, though, we're hearing the citizens there speak otherwise. They're saying, listen, look, man, we need these streets cleared up. We heard about what just happened over the holiday weekend, Memorial Day, things like that. All these people that are getting deleted, then the politicians or whatever, they're still talking about crime is down and we don't need help and things like that. My thing of this is just they just want the money. They don't want Trump to actually clean up the city. And I titled this broadcast the way that I did because it's the truth. Chicago has always been a gangster town since pretty much its foundation, but it's at a point now to where it's just overrun. Hell, even when the mafia was actually running Chicago, they at least had some type of level of decorum. They at least had some type of level of respect and responsibility. Normal everyday citizens wasn't attacked and things like that when the mafia was actually running shit out here. Now, you can say whatever you want about the mafia. Crime is crime. Don't get me wrong. It's all illegal. Don't get me wrong. It's all illegal. But at least the mafia had some type of organization to where the things were organized to where average everyday citizens weren't being attacked because the mafia was doing whatever they were doing. So we're going to dive off into this, man. This is crazy out here. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
President Trump saying late today, we're going in. The governor of Illinois responding tonight. It comes, of course, after the armed National Guard in Washington, D.C., the federal takeover of police there, and after the National Guard in Southern California. And this news on Chicago tonight comes as a federal judge rules this evening the Trump administration broke the law with what it did in California. Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
Tonight, a federal judge ruling the Trump administration acted illegally by sending the National Guard to Los Angeles to put down immigration protests. Judge Charles Breyer accusing the administration of trying to create a national police force with the president as its chief. But tonight, President Trump undeterred, saying he's expanding his crime crackdown and will soon send the National Guard into Chicago.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in.
The president setting his sights on Chicago after sending 2,000 National Guard troops to patrol the streets of Washington, D.C.
If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country.
But Illinois Governor J.D. Pritzker says no.
I'm aware that the president of the United States likes to go on television and beg me to call and ask him for troops. I find this extraordinarily strange as Chicago does not want troops on our streets.
It comes after a violent Labor Day weekend in Chicago. At least 58 people shot, 8 killed. Still, local officials say violent crime is down nearly 22% this year. Pritzker saying Trump just wants power.
He has surrounded himself with groveling yes men who are too weak to restrain his most violent and unhinged impulses, or who share those impulses. As a governor who cares about the well-being of my people, I can't live in a fantasy land.
Stop it. Just stop it.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
Just stop it, Pritzker. You care about your constituents so much that you've allowed 50-something people to get shot and 8 people died this past Labor Day weekend. And weeks before, other people were murked. What are you talking about? And see, this is the delusion that we're talking about out here. I don't know what these politicians are smoking nowadays, but they on some heavy ass drugs out here to be this delusional. and not even listening to the people. The people are all over the internet. We're going to dive off into it, but they're all over the internet saying they need to send these people to calm crime down. And I think if they actually send it in like they did in Washington, D.C., this will probably be the first time in the history of fucking Chicago that crime will be down for real.
Where I pretend Trump is not tearing this country apart for personal greed and power.
And David, it's unclear when Trump would send those troops to Chicago. But again, the judge in that court ruling making it clear the federal government is not supposed to use the military for law enforcement. And Governor Pritzker is promising he would fight this in court.
Okay, well, go fight it in court. You know what I'm saying? Because America's in dire straits right now. This whole city, this in dire straits with our major cities and this craziness that's going on. Let's go here now.
He has indicated for weeks that he was weighing sending National Guard troops to Chicago to fight crime. Now, Donald Trump says he's made up his mind.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks and 75 are shot with bullets, Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now.
Chicago has long grappled with high levels of gun violence, but crime, including homicide, has fallen over the past year. Trump has already sent National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles. He has
I don't understand when they keep saying that crime has fallen. What does that mean? And we still have people getting deleted out here. What does that mean, crime has fallen, when people are still dying? I mean, Jesus, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. Like, people getting deleted is not crime anymore. I don't, you know what?
To decreasing crime numbers in D.C., but critics insist that Trump's efforts to expand the role of the military on U.S. soil could prompt tensions between the military and ordinary citizens. Chicago's Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson was quick to condemn the U.S. president's announcement, as was the governor of Illinois, who stated he was ready to fight troop deployments in court.
In the coming days, we expect to see what has played out in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., to happen here in Chicago. Unidentifiable agents in unmarked vehicles with masks are planning to raid Latino communities and say they're targeting violent criminals. Instead, you're likely to see videos of them hauling away mothers and fathers, traveling to work or picking up their kids from school.
On Thursday, a federal judge in California ruled that the U.S. president's deployment of the National Guard to Los Angeles this summer was illegal. The judge stated that Trump breached an act that limits the power of the federal government to employ military force for domestic matters.
With you, this is crazy right here. And you know, listen, look, man, ain't no way in hell that he would be able to deploy, you know what I'm saying, troops and stuff like that if it was truly illegal. Come on now. You gotta actually, you know what I'm saying, use your brain out here. So we're gonna hear from some of the people that are actually, you know, wanting this crime to stop in Chicago. Let's go here now.
Liberals in Chicago have the privilege of being able to say that we don't need the National Guard here in Chicago. They have the privilege of saying that because they keep themselves in their careful bubbles of Lincoln Park, Wicker Park. They stay up in some of the northern areas and they go and frolic at the beach, playing volleyball and pickleball and tennis in these areas where it's clean, there's minimal crime. Of course you feel like we don't need the National Guard because you've never stepped foot on the actual south and west side. Elitist progressives and leftist white Chicagoans have the privilege of not needing the National Guard in order to feel safe in their communities. They walk out their door in the morning with their babies to go get a quick coffee and their kid on a scooter with a helmet. That's privilege. That's the same privilege that you claim you want to be a part of unpacking and getting away from. It's the yuppie white women in Chicago who want to scream about Trump being fascist, yet they keep themselves carefully, safely tucked away in Lincoln Park. Come to Woodlawn. And not the cute part. No, go past 63rd. Come to Auburn Gresham. Chatham. Inglewood. Get on your scooter there. And do it about 7 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is at this point. She's basically stating the truth about the situation that's going on in Chicago. Listen, look, man, you know, in that area, stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely believe 9 times out of 10, you know, that area that she mentioned about Chicago is definitely where most of the police force is enforcing the law, you know, in those areas and stuff like that. It's a lot of money in those areas, things like that. This is just the truth out here. It's crazy, but it's the reality. It's the reality. And you got individuals out here that are clearly telling you that, you know, they need to send in these individuals to clean up this mess in other areas of Chicago.
So the governor and the mayor, Brandon Johnson, the governor and the mayor of Chicago are saying that they don't want Trump to come to Chicago because they're upset with him. This is so stupid. They're mad because he pulled grants for violence prevention or whatever it is that he pulled back in the spring. Talking about, well, you took the money, so you can't help us. If the money and the grants did not work, because God knows where that money went, you try a different strategy to stop the violence. The violence is still continuing. People are still being murdered down there all the time. So you don't want him to send the National Guard. And then I was watching on a video on YouTube. I forgot who the guy was, but it was still the mayor. He was being asked the question. He said, hey, if 5,000 troops or if 5,000 more policemen were released on the streets of Chicago, do you think that would help? He refused to answer the question. He kept saying, well, let's be clear here. You know, when I was growing up, he just started to all he did was divert the question. He would not just say, hey, he said, look, I'm going to ask you one more time. He was like, would it be beneficial just off that alone? Everything else you said that's good, you know, affordable housing. Okay, we got all of that. What if we gave you 5,000 more police officers to police the city? Would that help? He refused to answer the question. He kept diverting it. And you know what? All the Democrats do that. They always divert. If you say, they will never give Trump credit for anything good that he's done. They won't give him credit for any of that. They will still spew their hatred. And those people are dangerous. Those are the people that will never admit that they're wrong. Even when all the cards are laid out and say, hey, this is where you're wrong right here. Do you agree? Because it's been proven this is where you're wrong with this. They will absolutely divert and they will not admit the truth. In the world where we continue to give money for a program that's obviously it's proven not to work, because we don't know where the money truly went, but the program didn't work. So why would I continue to fund something that's not providing a benefit? It's not stopping the issue. It's not stopping the murders. It's not stopping the violence. Why would I continue to give money? I'm going to try a different strategy. I'm going to put the cops in there and scare everybody. Not just scare everybody, but lock these criminals up like they should be. And they're not giving him credit for anything that's going on in DC. The fact that the murders are down, that they haven't had any murders reported for the past 12 days or something like that. People are happy. People are feeling safe. There are even Democrats, Black Democrats, because they don't even know why the heck they're Democrat. They don't even know, truth be told. But anyway, they've just been told to follow the narrative because they are Black. That's Negro here nor there. They're even showing support. They're like, dang, you know, I wouldn't vote for Trump, but it does feel good to go outside and there's nobody out here and there's nobody doing this and nobody doing that. Thank you. Because you are seeing true results. That is what Trump is providing. Stop and tell y'all that, because the way that he was talking, Trump, don't come here. We don't need your help. Who's going to help you then? Who's going to help the mothers that continue to lose children? Who's going to help these Black men out here that ain't got no self-control and they need to be locked up somewhere so they can realize the error of their way?
Listen, look.
So what the French toast is gonna
She spoke nothing but the truth. But these are the facts right here, and this is where we at. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I titled this broadcast the way that I did because at the end of the day, though, those politicians in Chicago know that Chicago has always been a gangster town, and the dynamics of that has always fed those politicians under the damn table. Listen, look, man, you're not finna sit around here and fucking fool me. Hold on. You're not finna fool me. These people are making money under the table. Brandon Johnson, the governor, all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Now you can sit there, oh, well, Alan, do you have proof of this and proof of that? Whoop the whoop. I have proof that Chicago itself has always been a gangster town. Even when the Italians was running the show and stuff like that, Maya Lansky and Lucky Luciano, all them, they always paid the politicians to keep their fucking mouth shut.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
The hell you talking about? Chicago always been a gangster goddamn town. Al Capone, stuff like that. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Them people making money off the crime. And it's embedded in that city. And that's the issue that we're talking about right here. That's the reason why it's so hard for them to come up off that type of way of living for the politics in that town. You have to understand the mindset of that town. Chicago has always been a gangster city. And I'm going to keep repeating that shit because it's the fucking truth. You have to understand how the politics and stuff like that works in that town. It's been like that for decades, and it's hard because it's ingrained in that city. And this is just where we at right here. So yeah, man, it's crazy, but it's the truth. It's crazy, but it's the truth. Let's go here now.
Okay, hold up. You need to watch this clip real quick of Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Listen up.
Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves?
So let me get this straight. Is the mayor of Chicago asking the people to defend the city if President Trump sends in the National Guard? Now, that raises a lot of questions. What exactly does he mean by defend? Defend against who? The federal government, the National Guard, or just the idea of Trump stepping in to restore order? Chicago has been dealing with serious crime problems for years. President Trump is saying he wants to help, and instead of welcoming that, the city's leadership is calling for people to rise up. Is that what they were doing? Why would a mayor want everyday citizens caught in the middle of this? Shouldn't leaders be working to make Chicago safer rather than setting people against each other? Now, I'm not making any claims here. I'm just pointing out what was said in his own words. And I think the people of Chicago deserve real answers. Is this leadership or is this playing politics with public safety?
And it is playing politics with public safety. And I keep referring back to that being a gangster town. And, Brandon Johnson, all that, governor, they know this. They know the history of the state and also, the city of Chicago. They know the history. And these people are making money off the crime. Chicago has been such a criminal haven for so many decades now. Like I said, it's going to be kind of hard for them to change that mindset, which is ridiculous. And at the same time, though, too, it's tragic. And it does need to change. Chicago can be a decent place. Chicago can be a prosperous place, but it has to change from that criminal history that it has and things like that in order to, move forward. And these are just the facts. These are just the facts about the situation at hand here, man. It's crazy, but it's true. And you got the governor out here, talking out the side of his neck, talking about he doesn't need help cleaning up anything. And, they're still saying crime is down, but we're still hearing reports of people being deleted and other things going on that's, happening and things. And it's just highly disrespectful that the governor and the mayor of Chicago would sit there and they're steadily spewing this stupidity nonsense, this fictional ass thought process. Like we as the people in the rest of America can't see that you are actually foolish and maybe low key prospering off this debauchery that's going on in Chicago.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
People aren't stupid. And we're sick of the games. We see you. We see you, Mayor Brandon Johnson. We see you, Governor Pritzker. This is crazy. And it's time out for the stupidity.
So let me get this straight. Out of all these shootings that happened in this month alone, mass shootings, you two motherfuckers, governor and mayor of Chicago, y'all really don't think the National Guards need to be coming in? Well, motherfuckers, newsflash, Trump, send their damn asses over there to Chicago. Send the National Guard there, because people and citizens have a right to be feeling safe. They have a right to be feeling secure. And at this point, them two motherfuckers that are governing over Chicago, governing over the state of Illinois, they're letting it crash and burn. Trump, you should have been sent the National Guards over there. You should have been sent them in there to clean up house, regardless of how people feel, regardless of how people think and all. This makes no sense to me. All these murders that people feeling unsafe. Damn the mayor. Damn the motherfucking governor. They got protection out the ass, so they're not even worrying about what the citizens need. We voted you in, and the ones that didn't vote you in need you, Trump. Send them motherfuckers over to Chicago.
Hey. It is what it is, though. You know, and this is the thing here. This is the thing here, people. You know, yes, the correction needs to be had. And be honest with you, though, I do want to see a future to where Chicago is clean and that gangster history is well in the past. It's time for Chicago to get a break from this gangster shit. And like I said, you know what I'm saying? I titled this broadcast the way that I did for a purpose. Chicago has always been known as a gangster town since before anybody today was ever born. And this is just the truth. Prohibition, all types of things. Beyond that, yeah, it's time for Chicago to really get a break from this gangster stigma. It's time. And it's an overwhelming situation. It's gotten even more wilder. It's way more cowboy type activity than what the gangsters used to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you know, when the Italians and all, they had organized crime. You know, citizens could still walk down the streets with their children and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? With organized crime. I hate to put it that way, but it's just the truth. It's just the damn truth. And you got these new age individuals out here. It's no organization with them. It's no community with them. It's no respect with them. They deleting everybody. It doesn't matter. And that's a huge problem. But I guarantee you, though, those individuals in the public spirit, in the public situation, those politicians up there, they're still, you know, galvanizing the funds and stuff like that under the table off these arrests and all other types of things and stuff like that they got going on. I guarantee they still doing it. I don't have to have the fucking evidence to prove it. I know what the fuck it is.
What the French toast is there to think about?
Chicago always been a gangster town. Gangsters do whatever the fuck they want to do. Even the politicians is gangsters. So don't try to fucking play me out here like I don't know about Chicago. This is crazy. All right. So we're going here now. Let's do this.
Chicago mayor is mad. I already told y'all this was going to happen. I told you he was going to be upset. He's already challenging Trump, already telling people to rise up against tyranny. I've never seen anything so insane in my entire life. I've never seen it. They would rather, because they don't want Trump to get a win. This is all about Trump not getting a win. They don't want Trump to come in and do what he did in D.C. because what that shows is that it could have been done. That if Democrats really focused, they could really stop the crime in their cities. But because it shows, the reason they don't want Trump in Chicago to come to Chicago and Baltimore and these places is because it shows their incompetence. It shows that it could be done, just like Democrats said for the longest.
Not only that, like I said too, it shows the fact that these people won't be able to capitalize off crime. Like I titled the crime pays. Crime pays.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
That shit keeps judges employed, clerks, you know what I'm saying? Of course, police, things like that. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? You know, we do have a level of police that really don't want crime. They're doing their jobs, but it keeps a lot of people employed within the legal system. You know, crime does. you know, if you don't have that much crime, I mean, what are the judges going to do all day? Well, at the end of the day, hey, let's just keep this real here. Hold on. Most of these judges and super politicians and shit, all they do all day is play golf any motherfucking way. So I mean, you know,
what the French toast is there to think about?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just being honest. But you know, play golf and you know, eat high-powered lunches and sit around and talk boo-boo to fool. You know, but I'm just saying though, man, nah, man. Listen, look, man, crime pays. Crime pays. Our justice, it feeds our justice system. Our justice system is like its own entity, its own beast. And if we don't have enough crime, ain't no need to have all these judges and lawyers and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? To, you know, public defenders and stuff. If crime is not there, you have to think about this in reality perspective. If we truly, you know, and I'm saying, listen, look, I know we can't just truly eradicate all crime. That's impossible. It's going to be a little bit here and there. But if we lower crime to a certain degree, most of the judges and lawyers and all these people, stuff like that, they get paid off this situation, they wouldn't have no fucking jobs out here. And these people make hundreds of thousands of dollars a damn year. Who gonna fucking give that up?
What the French toast
Who gonna give that up? You got a judge making $500,000 or $1 million a year. You know, police officers, they making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You got fucking public defenders, they make what they make, whatever, little change, who knows, you know. I'm just saying, crime pays. And you want to sit here and try to, you know, and Trump coming in like, listen, look, we gonna dial down this crime a little bit here and make these cities safer. What the fuck you think? Yeah, he gonna be the enemy. Of course he's the damn enemy of the system that actually gets paid off of crime.
Is that we needed a bill to secure the border. That's what they was saying for all this time. But they needed a bill. And it turned out we just needed a new president, because immediately when Trump got in office, he shut the border down. The most secure it's ever been. But the Democrats under Joe Biden, when he let in over 20 million illegal immigrants, right? No celebrity, none of these liberals had a problem with that. The invasion of our country. But they want to criticize everything Trump does to try to get these same people out of the country, right? And they want to act like it's immoral to remove these people that Biden let in, right? So it's just the Chicago is crime ridden. It's dangerous. Baltimore, all these states, and it helps Black and brown people. It helps people who are the ones that they're saying that are the ones that they're trying to protect. It is disgusting.
And so, you know, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people of this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city.
The lies.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.
The lies. Yeah, it's crazy out here, man. And this is where we at, though. You know, like I said, man, this is a crazy scenario. Yes, Trump need to go ahead on and send them people in, you know what I'm saying, like he did with DC. Clean this shit up. It's time for Chicago to get a break. Out of all these decades and stuff like that of Chicago being known for a gangster town, and we know these are facts. Chicago is known for being a gangster town. It's time for Chicago to get a break. Just like it's time for LA to get a break. It's time for New York to get it. It's time for all this crime to dial down. Now, like I said previously, now, of course, there's huge issues behind actually, you know, the keeping crime at a certain level. It'll be a lot of people out of work, things like that, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, all types of stuff like that. That's a lot of people making a shit ton of money every year to do their jobs or whatever that entails. That's a lot of money involved. And we have to really think about this shit too. You know what I'm saying? Because this is part of the situation that, you know, I think it's really not being brought up enough. The reason why so much pushback on this situation, because there's so much money involved with these top politicians and all this type of stuff and things like that, whether we could actually prove the tangibles or not. I just, you know, let's just be honest with you, you know, under the table shit happens under the table for a reason. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, you know, these cities need a break from all this, you know, tumultuous crime. It's time out for it. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
And that, my friends, is the bottom line.
that, my friends, is the bottom line.